All right, we are now on to just only the third bullet point. Like I said, long lesson here. It's just the catch-all for the various ways to solve an equation. So it does feel really kind of disconnected, but we've all got to start somewhere, right? Okay, so to solve, x to the 2/3 equals 1/2. Well, remember that this is also the cube root of x squared equaling 1/2. So you can think of it this way, as what undoes a cube root? A cube, so we can cube both sides. And then, so I've got that x squared equals 1/8 because that's 2 cubed. And now we just have x squared equals 1/8. So now we square root both sides. Not forgetting that we have to add in the plus or minus when we introduce a square root. So x equals plus or minus the square root of 1 over the square root of 8, because that's a legal move. But now, what's the square root of 1? 1. Remember, 8 is 4 times 2. 4 is 2 and 2. So I can pull out a 2, and I'm left with a root 2. But now, in math, typically we don't like roots left in a denominator. So what we do is something called rationalizing. To rationalize means, right, so to rationalize means that we get rid of the square root in the denominator. So what I'm going to do is use a special form of 1, because anything over itself is 1. So the reason why we use 1 is because 1 times anything is still the thing. We're not adding any weight or value. We're not adding any extra stuff to the equation other than the visual. So that's why we like doing the form of 1. So now, root 2 times root 2 is 2, right? Because there's 2 of them. So this is 2 times 2 under root 2, but that 2 times 2 is 4. So, I keep forgetting all of this plus or minus, plus or minus, plus or minus. So here the answer is plus or minus the square root of 2/4. And there you go. Over here, we have, before I switch gears on you, if you wanted, you could also say x to the 2/3 equals 1/2. You can raise both sides to the 3/2. You can raise both sides to the 3/2, because what is 2/3 times 3/2? That's just 1. And then you have 1/2 to the 3/2, which is the square root of 1/2 quantity cubed. And then you go through the whole rigmarole as we've got over here on the left. Okay, now for real life, moving on to the second example. Well, recall that the negative exponent flips the fraction, or flips a fraction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by multiplying or taking each side to the negative first. So now a negative times a negative is a positive. So this just becomes s minus 2. I like to give my s little feet so that you see it's an s and not a 5. Let's see, all raised to the 1/2, because negative times a negative is a positive. And now 1/3 to the negative first is really just what? Flip it. It's just a 3. So s minus 2 raised to the 1/2 equals 3. 1/2 is really just the square root. And how do we undo square roots? We can square both sides, right? So I've got s minus 2 equals 9. Last but not least, add the 2. So s is equal to 11.